Thanks for checking out the H-Point package builder. This is going to be sort of a quick overview rather than a real tutorial. I have to admit that um, I was not anticipating this to take off the way it has the last week or so. I really appreciate everyone's interest and support. Um, but yeah, it's been pretty wild watching it take off and a lot of downloads, a lot of users getting some great feedback. So that's really cool. I'm Alan Macy, co-founder and chief everything officer at Curb Industries, also associate chair of transportation design at Art Center, which takes up about 117% of my time. Projects like this, the type of thing I squeeze in just to kind of make myself feel like I'm making stuff, not just talking about making stuff. It's pretty important to me. And this has been sort of like an idea I've had for a long time. And I've been following the AI stuff super closely for about 10 years now. And the fact that this was basically created by me just telling an AI my ideas and working back and forth with it is pretty amazing. So I'm super fired up. Um, what a time to be alive. So anyway, let's get into this thing. I'm gonna just jump in and walk you through it. I will at the end run through the installation process, which is ultra easy. But one of the things that's been really interesting to me about this is a lot of people um, are kind of saying like, "Oh man, I want to check that out, but I don't know Blender." So it's kind of wild to me that a packaging tool is what would get somebody interested in using Blender. But hey, I'm here for it. So let's go. Anytime you're working with an add-on, to access that add-on, you're going to hit and bring up this panel over here. After you've installed it, you'll see this H.1 down here. Um, so this panel is where you're going to do all your work. We got a button up here that says create package. So we might as well just delete this default cube, create package. So straight off the bat, that's gonna populate sort of like a default package with a wheel and tire bounding box and a driver mannequin in position. So I'll run you through um, all the ways that we're going to be able to interact with it and modify it. Starting off, you've got your overall dimensions, which are going to basically position the wheel and tires and modify the shape and proportion of the bounding box. A wheel and tire model, um, for me, I'm typically going to come at this from the overall diameter first, but obviously rim size, tread width, and then you can actually modify the design with a tire code as well. Um, we've got a square setup with the ability to adjust the rear tread width independently, but now we've also got a staggered setup. Shout out to Marco Luso for one of my students. He's like, "Hey, cool thing, man, but my car has a staggered setup." So obviously, I had to sneak that feature in over the weekend for Marco. Um, then we've got our occupant. This is probably the most valuable aspect of this tool. Still a little bit of work to do on this guy. You can see that as he goes up and down in the seat height, the ball of foot is moving in X, which should not be the case. So, unfortunately, making this tool in Blender is not as straightforward as I think people who are used to parametric tools might think. This is not parametric. It's sort of more kinematic, and it's really relies heavily on Blender's animation features. So anyway, we'll get it sorted out, but for now, I wanted to get the model out here, people using it, and not let perfection be the enemy of good on that. Um, After the occupants, we've got appearance. So shout out to Victor Karpenko, another one of my students. He's complaining about hey man, like, how do I make it purple? So I'm like, yeah, you're right. Probably gonna need to make it look nice. So my favorite part about this feature is that also Victor's idea was we want to be able to modify the thickness of these pieces. So that's cool. We can make it faint if we just want it there as a guide, but if we're trying to show everybody how awesome we are, we can really make it nice and bold. Um, and then you can now adjust the colors of these things, like so, and lots of different stuff there. The other thing that you can do, if you're using one of the more um, material-based views, is you can actually just adjust the color of these things like that, right? So we'll get in here a little bit of Age Point orange, and we'll do our tires. Um, we'll do our tires in black because we like black tires. Um, so yeah, that is that. So let's now take a quick run through the way all these different dimensions operate. So we've got wheelbase. Um, back this out a little bit. Got wheelbase. We got overall length, which moves the rear overhang and wheelbase together. Not sure if that's exactly right, but it makes sense to me right now. Front overhang, rear overhang, and again, wheelbase will move without changing the overall size, overall length there. We've got a width, which is the body width. That's going to manipulate the bounding box there. We've got height. We got ground clearance while we're talking about the bounding box. We got front track and we got rear track. So we can toggle on and off that bounding box as well because in some cases it might start to be distracting once you've got your kind of forms blocked in. Um, so moving on from the overall dimensions, we've got wheel and tire. So go back to a square setup. The way that this is set up is that you've got an overall diameter, and the ground plane is set to a 25 millimeter offset to the bottom of the tire to kind of make up for that static load radius. And the nice thing about this is our design, our vehicle is going to stay at the same place, and the ground plane is going to move relative to it, which is really the way things should be. Keeping in mind that like the only thing that doesn't move on this design is the grid, right? So we need all these pieces to sort of be able to move independently without needing to move our design around in space. We want the package to sort of be totally flexible in that way. Um, again, we can type in a different tire dimension here. So we could do like a 305, get that extra width there. So that's the tire model. And then again, occupant. So this is really like, this is the part that I think is really most exciting about what we've got here. So we can adjust the Z location with the age point to ground dimension. We can adjust the X by offset to the front bumper, which is sort of handy when you are trying to benchmark. If you're trying to benchmark your impact structure and sort of making sure that this driver's foot will be able to meet 5-star crash, you're going to want to set that up to a minimum of 700, which is sort of the famous ball foot to front bumper dimension established by the smart car. And then we've got the Y location set up with the lateral offset. So depending on where the drivers are related to the tire and to the sill section, and make sure that that driver's arm has a good relationship to the door and that the feet are clear of the tire envelope. Um, Then we can adjust the seat height. Now, this is really like when I say the mannequin is sort of the most important part of this whole thing. A lot of that is to do with the seat height. So we are tracking up and down from 134 millimeters to 405 millimeters along this accommodation curve. So this basically tells us that our driver is going to be comfortable and has a good relationship to the pedals. The eye ellipse, again, this represents a little bit of confusion around this one actually, because I think a lot of people assume that when we're talking about this 95th percentile male mannequin, that it's just 95th percentile men. The eye ellipse is a separate piece, and this represents um, a full range of male and female from the fifth percentile to the 95th percentile. So if you're a fifth percentile female, your eye is going to land somewhere down here towards the sort of lower front quadrant. And if you're a 95th percentile male, your eye is going to land a little bit back here. And with the seat track travel, with a little bit of height increase as it goes forward, that's how we're able to accommodate such a wide range of people. And, I think to me, this is really the power of the 95th percentile male mannequin from following the SAE guidelines, because it just really sets you up to create a design, develop a vehicle that can accommodate a huge portion of the population. So if you want to add a second row, you can just do that here. This guy gets his own set of colors and stuff, but you can do that another time. So once you add another row, you will basically get a new set of dimensions here. You can actually set all of these up to be the driver, passenger, or a rear-facing passenger if you were doing something like a robo taxi, or if you were doing like a minivan lounge type party pit vibe. We'll flip this guy around though for now. So we can control him in X with the couple distance, right? That's the distance between the driver H point and SGRP2 second row occupant. He has his own lateral location. He's got his own H point to ground. Torso angle is more flexible on the passenger because they're not driving. They don't have to be as comfortable. And we can adjust the shape of that leg with this hip to heel X slider that I've cooked up just sort of as an easy way to make the posture of that leg, the position of that leg sort of look natural based on whatever seat height you've got and whatever room is available. You can add more and more rows. I can't remember what it's up to now. I think we can do 4. Yeah, we can make it more if we want to do some buses or something. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much the run through. So I hope this has been helpful. Again, I really appreciate your support, and I'm just really thrilled that so many people are interested. It's not always the case that I feel like people are getting excited about package work, but to me, it's, if you're serious about car design, this is really what it's all about, or at least a good chunk of it. So, thanks again. Have a good one.